All right, ladies and gents, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to fish mini jigs and minnows. And the first thing we need to ask ourselves is why? Why would we even want to do that? It's much easier to sit on the bank and throw out a bait and wait and just have a cocktail and wait for a fish to come by and bite, right? But what you have to remember is that trout are predatory fish. It's just on a much smaller scale. So they eat minnows, frogs, crayfish, just about anything that's they could fit in their mouth that's swimming around, they will go after. In addition to, obviously, we know they all eat flies and bugs off the surface, but I imagine most trout, especially when they get a little bit bigger, would prefer a fish or a frog, something with a little bit of meat to it. Like you could use brown trout or tiger trout as an example. They have lots of teeth, and you've probably seen in the videos when we catch them. They're tough to unhook sometimes because of the teeth. Well, the reason for that is because when they get that size, their diet becomes a lot more of fish, smaller fish, and other aquatic creatures. Like hell, the browns will even eat rats and field mice that fall in the water late at night. A lot of the fly fishermen have rat and mice imitators they use at night and get those big browns. But that just shows you how they switch over. And the one thing that I noticed being a bait and weight fisherman for most of the years that I fished, once I switched over, I started noticing that my catch rates went way up. I was catching a lot more fish, and not only was I catching more fish, I was catching a lot bigger fish, like a lot more trophy size fish. And I really think that goes back to what I was just saying, as far as once trout reach a certain size, they're a lot more interested in your living meals. They are a little bit less interested in eating bait. If they can get their hands on a juicy fish or a frog or a rat or something else that's swimming in the water, they'd much rather do that as opposed to getting something that's just sitting there and smells real good to them, right? And the other thing to realize is because trout are predators, they have what's called a prey drive. And a prey drive is a thing where, like if you have a dog or a cat and you've seen either used a laser pointer or pretended to throw a ball, and what does the dog or cat do? They jump at it and look and try and follow it. That's a prey drive. And trout have the same thing. So if they see something moving out of the corner of their eye, or they feel a vibration of something moving, they may get interested just because of instinct. They may not even be hungry. It's just that prey drive, and they may take a swipe at it just out of that. So it's gives you a few more instances, I think, to catch a fish than just on good old bait and weight. All right, now what kind of rod and reel are you going to need to throw mini jigs and minnows effectively? And it helps to have some specialized equipment, and I'll get into that later, but that's only really if you really get into it. But you can really get this done on most of your ultralight gear that you already have. Ideally, you want a ultralight spinning rod that's 7'6" to 8 foot in length. And the reason for the length is, well, twofold. Casting distance, because you have to remember that these mini jigs and minnows are very, very small and very, very light. So it helps to have a rod that's long enough that's going to give you a decent cast. And secondly, just to work the jig or the minnow in the water column as you're retrieving it. While you're bouncing your rod tip and all those things, the longer rod you have, it gives you a little bit more, you can put a little bit more action on your bait all the way out at the end of your line, as opposed to a real short rod. And also real short rods tend to be a lot more stiff.
That's what she said.
And don't have as much whip at the tip that you need to put proper action on a mini jig or a minnow. So now while I got into that, let's talk about the type of action you need the rod to be. And there's two real main actions that are assigned to ultralight rods, and it's usually moderate or fast, or they even have a moderate fast, which is kind of in the middle. And the differences are moderate is a real whippy tip. So imagine more noodly, like the tip really flops around.
Gay!
Around when you bounce it. A fast action is very, very stiff. So when you bounce it, it stays stiff. It doesn't, the end doesn't whip or wave. And that comes down to personal preference as far as how you like the feel to be when you're working back these ultralight baits. Like most guys that mini jig a lot prefer a faster action rod, so stiffer rod, right? I, on the other hand, prefer a more moderate action rod because I have too bad shoulders, and the moderate, because it has a lot of whip at the tip, like I said earlier, it helps me get the right action on the bait without hurting my shoulders while I do it, right? Because when I tend to be out there fishing, especially fishing these types of baits, I'm fishing for a lot of hours, and it can wear you down, and I'll get into that later. But it really comes down to personal preference, and don't get too worked up about whether you get a moderate or a fast and it's not the right rod for you. Just give it a try. Hopefully you may have friends, or you may have rods that are a little more moderate, a little bit more fast, and try those out and see what you like before you purchase a let's say, mini jig and minnow rod, something that you're going to dedicate. Because essentially this is a specialty type of fishing. It's kind of like being a golfer. Like, you have all the golf clubs in your bag for all kinds of different shots, whether you're doing putting or a chip shot or a driver. Same thing with fishing, or at least this. If you get into it, ideally you would have a setup just for throwing mini jigs and minnows. And it'll really, really help in the long run if that's what you like doing. If not, you can absolutely get it done on any ultralight spinning rod, and I'll get into that in a second. Now, here is some footage of some of the rods I've used over the years as I was getting into mini jigging. And these aren't rods that necessarily I purchased just for mini jigging, as they are all different costs. Like there's one in there that only costs $20, but it's a really, really decent mini jig rod. They just don't make it anymore. But these are some of the rods I used as I learned and developed before I worked up to what I have now. So take a look at this. All right, now what rod do I currently use? And it's one of these bad boys. This is a Katana. It's a 7'6" ultralight rod. It's considered a moderate fast. So like I said earlier, it's got a whippy tip, but it's not too whippy. A really, really good rod. It's super, super light, and it's designed for throwing these small baits like mini jigs and minnows. So that's its purpose. Now, this is a very nice rod, but it's also very expensive. These are not cheap. So this is something that you would get if you really like mini jigging and want to continue doing it. Then sure, invest the money into real nice rods and reels and those kind of things. But you can get the job done with a lot of those rods I showed you, and even some others will work if you want to give it a try. But like I said earlier, mini jigging is not for everybody. Some people love it. Some people do it once in a while when they're bored and while they're waiting for their bait rod to get bit. And some people absolutely hate it, and that's okay. Fish the way you want to fish. But I really got into it, really love it. It's very challenging. So I invested the money and bought some really, really nice equipment. Now, reels. What kind of reel should you use if you want to throw mini jigs or minnows? And pretty much any 1000 to 500 series reel will work, or you can go 500 to 1000, however you want to do it. But basically the size of most of your ultralight setups that you use for your bait and weight or for throwing spoons can or are capable of throwing these small baits like these mini jigs and minnows. you don't have to go out and buy one of the real big fancy reels. Any 500 to 1000 series reel will work, and most of the reels from your big distributors like Shimano, Daiwa, Okuma are good. They're good enough to try mini jigging. You don't have to buy like this is a Vanquish reel from Japan, and super lightweight, hand assembled, yada yada yada, very expensive, right? Awesome reel, love it, but it's very expensive. So you can, there's lots of guys out there that I fish with, and they slay fish on mini jigs and minnows using budget gear. So you don't have to buy the big fancy stuff. You can get by with any setup that's 7'6" to 8 foot in length and 500 to 1000 series reel, and you're golden. Usually with the more expensive the reels are in that series, the lighter they are. So basically you're just paying for weight reduction. Yeah, this reel is hand assembled and all that, and it's extra smooth and those kind of things, but really the biggest draw is the weight. It's very lightweight compared to a spinning reel, a 1000 or 500 from the West that's sold out here in America or Europe. They're heavier, that's all, but typically our top game fish out here are usually like bass and those kind of fish. Usually trout is not the top game fish out here in the US. So the reels are designed for that market, whereas in Japan there's a lot of pressure on the trout fishing, so they have to go lighter and lighter and lighter, get more refined with their presentations, because there's so many guys after so few fish. You have to give the presentations just right. So these Japanese reels are really, really fancy and really nice. I could get into all the ins and outs of the reels, but it gets very complicated, especially when you start getting up to these type of reels. And it's just not necessary. This is an entry-level video for you to get out and give it a try. And if you like it, start doing some research, and maybe I'll put out a video on all the reels I have and why, and the gear ratios and the drags and all that kind of stuff. But in the interim, you just need the basics, and you can get out there and give it a shot. All right, now let's talk about probably the most important thing or component when you're just starting out or gonna give mini jigging a try, and that's your fishing line. Because these baits are so small and so light, your fishing line is going to have a huge impact on your casting distance or castability. If your line is too heavy, it's just not gonna cast very far, because there's not enough weight on these mini jigs and minnows to pull heavy line through all your guides of your rod and through the wind and all these other things. So typically, I like to use 2 to 4 pound either mono or fluorocarbon when you're just starting out. Ideally, Braid works the best. I usually use 4 pound Sinister Strand premium braid. But Braid is a little bit advanced. It can be difficult to work with, even though it casts the best, doesn't have any memory, and it works great for working back and casting these mini jigs and these minnows. But there are trade-offs, like you have to now use a leader, because Braid is colored and the fish can see it very easily in the water. So you're gonna have to tie another knot with a fluorocarbon leader of line that's in the similar pound rating as the Braid. Like I use 4 pound Sinister Braid, and then I use 4 pound Sinister fluorocarbon for the leader. And I usually tie the leader about the length of the rod I'm using. And you have to learn connection knots, like I use a double uni, or there's an Alberto knot. And it gets a lot more complex. So that's something more advanced, I would say. So if you're just starting out, just make sure you have either some 2 pound fluoro or mono, or 4 pound fluoro or mono, and you can get some good casts with probably a 1/16 ounce, 1/16 ounce mini jig, and you will be just fine. And then you can turn around and use that same rod setup for your bait and weight, or for spoons or drop shot, if you are just trying it out and don't want to drop a bunch of money on a new rod and reel, right? And that's really all you would have to do. And I have a video if you really want to run braid. I have a video, I'll put the link right up here, on how to spool up your reels with braid, and I go over some of the ins and outs of using the leaders and all those things. But it's a real quick video. It'll show you how I spool up my my rods and reels with braid or with just fluorocarbon or mono. So check that out, and the link's right up here. Now let's go to the bench, and I will show you some of the baits Golden State Fishing has, from mini jigs to minnows to Powerball worms and all those things that I use out there, and how we rig them up. All right, guys, here are some examples of the Golden State Fishing custom baits that I use typically to get on those trout. Over here we have the tube jig type baits, and over here we have the minnows and worm type baits, and above we have the corresponding weights that go with each type of bait. Now in the next segment, I'll show you exactly how to rig these up and explain which of these weights is best for which kind of conditions you're going to run into out there in the field. All right, guys, we'll start with the tube jig weights, and they come in 3 sizes, and these are the 3 sizes I will typically use. We have the biggest first is the 1/16 ounce, then it goes down to a 1/32 ounce, and then down to a 1/64 ounce. Now, you'll use all of these different weight configurations in different conditions. Like, for instance, when you're around deeper water or windy conditions, you're going to want to use the 1/16 ounce because it'll give the jig more time to fall in the water column, and you can go very, very slow without it getting grounded in the mud or the rock or the bottom. The 1/32 ounce is the most commonly used, especially out here in Southern California, because most of our lakes during trout season are very shallow. And this allows you, the 32nd is heavy enough that you can still get a decent cast with it, and when you retrieve it, you can still go slow enough to keep it out of the bottom and getting hung up to present it to more fish. The 1/16, if you're in shallow water, can work, but you have to obviously go much faster on your reel retrieve, and that will only work if the trout are really aggressive that day. Typically, they're going to want the slow retrieve, so we go with the 1/32. Now, this real tiny one, the 1/64, is kind of a specialty weight. I use that for like fishing under a weighted bobber, fishing rivers or creeks that aren't super deep. Or if, say, I was at a lake and I had the wind at my back and the trout wanted a really, really slow retrieve, I would throw one of these on and work them back that way. Now I'll show you how you rig these weights into these tube jigs, and it's really simple. We'll just pick a 32nd ounce, and there's 2 ways to do it. The first way and most common way is to go in through the skirt side. So we want to put this part of the eye of the hook right in the center of the skirt here, and carefully slide it into the tube without tearing it, and then pop it right through the top, and it looks just like that, ready to fish. Now there's a second way to do it, which is called speed loading. And what speed loading does is it allows you to change your jigs while having your lead still tied to the line, because if the line's on there, you won't have to cut it using this method. So to put them on, this jig already has a hole in it, but we want to start a hole with the hook at the top of the jig. So, but we don't want to go directly in the top, because where our hole is, that's where we want the eye of our hook to pop out, right? So we go in where the hole is, or start our own hole. And once the hook's in, you carefully guide it down so you don't re-puncture the tube, and you get it sticking out of the skirt down there. And then you just carefully push the weight in, and it comes out looking just the same. Now to switch out the jig color while it's still tied to the line is super easy. Just pull this cap back and expose that lead right there, and then you just carefully slide the tube jig down so you can get that lead out, and it pops out right like this, and your jig is still in really good shape and can be used again. And then if you want to reinstall it, you reinstall it, and that's all there is to it. All right, now we have our ball head weights, and these are what we use with the minnows and the worms. And just like the mini tube jigs, we have the 1/16 ounce, 1/32 ounce, and the 1/64. Now, we use them in the same conditions as the mini jigs. Just like the heavier one we use in deeper water, shallower water, and then kind of some specialty stuff. The only difference is the design of the bait, but they are fished exactly the same as the mini jigs, so you don't have to worry about it. Now I'll show you how I rig these up, and believe it or not, even though these baits are vastly different looking, it's the same way to rig them up. So we'll take our Spartan Minnow, and typically I like to look at the anatomy of the minnow, and I want the hook to come out the back of the minnow, and the back is a straight part with all these little bumps on it. So what I do is grab my ball head, and I start up by what I believe would be the nose of the minnow, and push that hook straight in and guide the minnow so it's going around the hook right there. And then once it's making that turn, I carefully pop that hook through so it's as straight as possible, and snug that ball right up to the nose of that minnow, and it comes out looking just like this. Then you're ready to fish. Now I will show you how I do, like, say, one of the Powerball worms, and it's the exact same. So except we just go straight in the middle. So we pop it through in the middle, carefully guide the worm halfway around the bend of the hook, and then I will pop the hook out. But since it's a worm, we don't have to worry about the anatomy of it, right? And it comes out looking just like that and ready to fish. All right, now you got the rod, the reel, the line, the jig tied on. Now how do you fish it?
You serious?
It's actually pretty easy. I'm just gonna go over the basics. There are advanced techniques out there, but I don't wanna give you too much information because I think it'll just, it might mess you up. You need to get a real good foundation first. And like those of you that play sports growing up or still do, it's always about the fundamentals, right? Well, these are the fundamentals, the real basics of it that will get you on fish. All those other techniques are more designed when the fish aren't cooperating and you're trying anything to get them to bite, and sometimes you can trick them into biting. But what I'm going to show you is the most basic technique that I do out there and that most other guys do, unless the fish dictates something else. But basically all you have to do is cast out, sometimes let the jig sink a little bit, sometimes don't. I get a lot of questions on how often do I let how long do I let my jig sink and in what conditions. And honestly, it depends. Like if I'm getting bit right away, not at all. If I'm not, I'll let it sink a little bit and retrieve it, let it sink a little bit more, and I keep doing that and let it go deeper and deeper until I either hit the bottom or I get bit, right? And then I'll do the same in reverse, sometimes work it back on the surface. And that's all there is to that. So what you do is you cast out and start your retrieve. You do light bounces, just kind of moving my wrist like this, and the tip of the rod just kind of going up like this. And then real slow reel cranks, and I go as slow as you possibly can go without it getting stuck in the bottom. You don't want it dragging on the bottom, you want it in the water column. So sometimes you want to get it real close to the bottom. That's great. If you're cranking it back slow enough and it's just barely off the bottom but not coming back with weeds or moss on it, perfect. But if you're not getting bit at that depth, you may want to try a little bit higher up, may want to increase the speed a little bit so you can get it up higher in the water column, because maybe the fish aren't all the way at the bottom, they're up, a couple feet, because that happens. So all you do, just real light bounces, real slow reel cranks, and the body of water that you're fishing is going to determine how slow or how fast you go by how deep it is. And if there's current, if there's wind can grab the line, pull the jig up in the water column as well. All things to consider. But the basics, the very basics, just light bounces and slow reel cranks. Just as long as you aren't pulling in weeds and mud and dirt or getting your jig stuck every cast, that's good enough. If you aren't getting bit, try all the columns of water, do some fan casting in the area, and then maybe change spots, because sometimes the fish aren't right there. Maybe they're down a ways about 50 yards, and that could be all the difference. But just a nice light bounce and real easy reel cranks, and just continue that process. You can add pauses if you want at certain times, but the basics and the fundamentals stay the same. Just keep it nice and slow and real consistent light bounces the rod, and that just makes that jig kind of just do this. And the fish and the trout just love it. So as you start catching fish on this technique, you will start to get better, start to get a feel for it. And that's the best advice I can give you when you're trying to learn this. The more fish you catch, the more, how do I say, the more better.
Idiot.
The better you become at it. You kind of start to get a feel for it. Because a lot of this stuff is muscle memory when you do it enough. But it takes a lot of practice. I've been doing it a lot. I've had great coaches and people that have helped me out over the years. But the more fish you catch, the more experience you're going to get, and the more time on the water, the more chances you're going to have at catching a fish. So don't expect to be real good at this, you know, on your first try. It takes a lot of time because it's not an easy technique. It is difficult, but it's very doable. You can do it. Just stick with it, and eventually you're going to get bit and start catching fish, and just like me, you're going to get addicted. All right, ladies and gents, there you have it. Hope you guys learned something. I did. I always do when I do these videos, do a little bit of research and kind of start checking my own inventory, so to speak. But just get out there and give it a try. And like I said earlier, it is difficult, but you can do it. Hopefully your first time out, you'll get into a good bite and you'll catch a few and get the hang of it real quick. A lot of other people struggle, like the Sergeant Major. I take her out. She's just now getting to where she's feeling more confident in it, but initially she hated it. I took her out in the wind, and she was having a hard time casting it, and she got frustrated and said, you know, hell with this. So it took me a while to get her back to try it again, but when she did, started getting her on fish, and she started really having fun with it. So that's all you got to do is just stick with it, and I think you'll have as much fun as I'm having with it. So get out there and try. And with that, if you want any of the fine products I use on this channel, there's a QR code right up here. So if you want the Golden State Fishing custom baits, the katana rods, the waterland sunglasses, and any of the other products I use on here, just click on this QR code. It'll take you to a link tree that has hyperlinks and discount codes to most all of these sites, and several of the products are discounted, but not all of them. So check that out carefully. But definitely give them a look. They are outstanding products, or I wouldn't use them myself, and I certainly wouldn't put them on the channel for you guys to look at. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them here. I'm sure I left some things out, and this is a broad topic of discussion. So if you have a comment or a question, leave it here. It really helps the channel out. You can also give us a like and a subscribe if you like what we're doing here. And you can also contact me on my Instagram at CSpankerOutdoors. Message me on there, and same deal. I will answer questions, and I do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. So with that, hope to see you guys out on the water and tight lines.